All right, in this video we are looking at The Scientist by Coldplay. This is an easy piano arrangement. Easy piano is the category. Not saying that it's going to be easy for everyone, which is never the case with things like easy this. So we've got measure 1 has these notes, E, D, and B, because it's part of it. E minor 7 chord. Then we go to a C chord, and then a G chord, and then a G suspended chord. The suspension is a second, and it's the A because it's a second above G. Very pretty. All right, let's look at that introduction now. So we're going to look now starting in verse 1. It changes the left hand. The progression is the same throughout every time it happens for the first 3 times and many times after that. We're starting with E, then C, then G, then the G suspended over D. And I played the wrong rhythm. When it gets to that chord, it goes ahead and blocks it. Your left hand has that full G sus2 over D. All right. Now the tricky part is the syncopation that happens in the right hand. You've got very repetitive. Finally, we have something. I'm going to look at measure 6 and 7 real quick just to isolate it one more time before you go back and practice this. By the way, this lesson isn't meant for like, hey, memorize all this stuff. This is for students of mine in my studio that have this music, or people that have this music and want to get into it. So we're going to look mostly at the treble spots. So going in measure 6 and 7. Once you hit that chord with the D and G, go ahead and get your hand into G, A, B, C, D in your right hand, like a G position, because everything else in the melody is there until it goes back to this at the end of each phrase, and then it's going to go right back. So here we are in measure 6. So I'm going to highlight this again, and I'm going to let go of the pedal so you can hear how the notes interact, the left hand and right hand. We've got so there we have that part. You can look at this part a few times until you, or come back to this as often as you need to. And this will get you through all of the verse. Now we're going to move on and look at the pre-chord. Okay, had to reshoot this video because the last one looked like I was in an earthquake. I have no idea. I hope my iPhone's not jacked, but we are on pages, the bottom of page 3 on through page 5. The nobody said it was easy. Now the left hand on this is going to be quite simple. We've gotten away from these chords down here, and we're going to be up in middle C, starting in the bottom line of page 3. Nobody said it was easy. It's such a shame for us to part. Nobody said it was easy. Nobody ever said it would be this hard. Okay, I'm not that familiar with this song, obviously. Oh, take me back to the start. So not a lot going on with the left hand, but we do have a lot of syncopation. Hardly ever on these pages do the right hand and left hand play together until we get back to the part where the singing is done and it's just playing the chords and the kind of the instrumental part. So we're going to take it very slowly. Our right hand goes up here. So we're like in a high C position, even though it also will go down to the G and then below later. And we're going to take it very slowly. I'm not going to use a pedal so you can get a good feel for the syncopation, and I'm going to go quite slowly. I'm not taking the G that's tied from the previous measure in the bottom of page 3, measure 1. So I'm going to, got 1. All right, going from the very beginning, let's just isolate that real quick. We've got beats 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. So that's the type of syncopation that's going to stay with us throughout these pages. So now I'm going to start there and go on. Hopefully I don't make a bunch of mistakes. Played that wrong. All right, so right there on the page 5, the melody ends with the left hand, or I'm sorry, with the right hand, and we go to the chords. So I'm looking at the third measure on page 5. It's going to be a C chord. Then we get back to, it's almost exactly like the beginning. It's kind of a little introduction before it repeats. Left hand, and then right hand. The only difference is in the last measure of that, our left hand did this and the first time, and our right hand was doing something like this. So it's kind of switched the roles. Then we repeat back to page 3. Now we're going to look page 6 and 7. Finally, here we are at page 6 and 7. It's going to sound funny when I put those two clips together because I said, now we're going to look at it. Here we are. Just realized that. Do apologize. So we've got E, C, and G chord again. No suspension this time. The trick is with this one, is our right hand's not doing much, just a little melody. Oops. Hey, nice little pentatonic scale there. Our left hand is going to be blocking these chords. So the trick is going to be to make sure that the left hand does not overpower the right hand, which is the melody. So we've got to keep this softer than this. Coming right there on the repeat. It says play this 3 times. We're only going to do it once for this video. Now we're going to look at the last page. The last page is much like page 6, but it's only 3 measures long, and our left hand, instead of playing all those eighth notes, is just going to play whole notes in fifths. All right, so we're starting off with E minor, then the melody on beat 4. And it says C chord right here. We have an implied C chord, but there's no third, so this is more like a C5. We finally get the third at the very end, and then the G at the end has no third, so again here we're like a G5, just G and D. And you can slow down on this when you get to it for, you know, dramatic effect. All right, have fun.